Welcome everybody, Shir number 934. We're learning today Le'ilei Nishmas Moshe Doiv Ben Rabban Zisel, Le'ilei Nishmas Blima Bas Rab Moshe and Refuah Shalem Elio Ben Dina Malka Shtaka Refuah Shalem B'Seich Shachole Yisrael. Getting back to our malacha of MAKEH B'PATISH and Tikkun Mana. Okay, so I just want to talk about a interesting. We are in the middle. Where are we up to? We're in the middle of talking about the Gezeres Midrabanan, the rabbinical restrictions in general, which fall under the heading of MAKEH B'PATISH and Tikkun Mana. Spoke about a few of them. We spoke about reference to Toivel and Kalim. We said was a problem because of that. We also spoke about musical instruments or instruments bechlal, or just banging with a beat, and we started talking about putting a scent, a nice smell, into items like clothing, carpets, and so on. We are in the middle of that. We just started, but before we continue, I want to just bring up here and there, we always mention that somebody asked an interesting question which might be helpful to everybody. It's important to talk about it and bring it up. So somebody asked an interesting question in reference to zippers. Now, not as far as using a zipper, as we know in general, to close an item, a jacket, a shirt, or whatever, using buttons, zippers, Velcro. In general, these items is no problem. This is all okay because it's a normal mode of use. It's normal, regular way whereby one uses it. I close the zipper, I open the zipper. I close the button, I open the button. So that's not a problem. But the question is, sometimes the zipper breaks. The zipper, that piece comes off and it's not usable. So the question is, am I allowed to fix that zipper on Shabbos? So now, of course, about sewing, that obviously is usher 100%. We're talking about, let's say sometimes the zipper itself starts to detach from the jacket, starts to detach from the pants or skirt or whatever it is. So sewing that obviously is regular sewing on Shabbos. That is the malacha of toifer, one of the lamites malachas. The question is fixing the zipper. If the handle, let's say, that whole handle came off, the whole piece came off to the extent that the zipper is not usable at all. Right, so now I can use the garment in general. Let's say a pants, a skirt, or whatever, a jacket. Possibly you could use it, but the zipper is not workable. It's not usable. What do I have to do? I have to somehow get back that zipper piece on, to somehow maneuver it back onto the teeth of the zipper. And I know for myself in the past, I've seen in the past, being in the dry cleaning, tailoring, these type of things, sometimes it's not so easy to get it back on also. So that's another problem. But Lamaisa, the zipper in general is not usable. So the question is, could somebody put it back on Shabbos? Now, I myself, I looked around in general in the poskim. I don't see where they bring it down too much. But if you think about it, there's two ways of looking at it. Number one, the zipper possibly is still a workable zipper, whereby it's only not really, I don't know if the right word would be partially broken, but it's still usable. Let's say it's partially off, but it's still usable. It's a little bit annoying, if you want to call it, but it's still usable to close and open. So that could be a little bit easier. But if the zipper, if the piece, that the handle or whatever it is, or the piece came totally off, whereby you have to maneuver it back onto the teeth, and the zipper is totally not usable, that l'chayra would fall under the guidelines of MAKEH B'PATISH and Tikkun Mana on Shabbos, whereby it's a complete fixing. You have a item which is now totally not usable, and you're doing an action to make it usable. That is exactly what MAKEH B'PATISH is in Tikkun Mana, depending on the exact action, depending on what is taking place. Now, if it's, like we said, if it's somewhat partially usable, we've spoken about in the past in reference to glasses, eyeglasses. There's various different types of parts to the eyeglasses. We said if the lens fell out, for example, the glasses is not really usable. So popping it back in is running into a problem. If it's put in whereby it keeps on falling out, it's not really in, not really out. Okay, so then we said it was a little bit easier. In reference to, I'm just trying to make a comparison. In reference to the arms of the eyeglasses, we spoke about this is comes very close. We said that if it's bent out of shape, let's say somebody has eyeglasses and the frame, one of the arms of the frame is bent out of shape to the extent that it's not wearable. We saw in the poskim that is also to fix. What do you mean? I'm just bending it back. It's a quick bend, a little bend, and it's back in shape. But we said that's not allowed to be done because of the fact you're now making something not usable usable. My eyeglasses were not usable. I'm not making it usable. The only question was, we did mention from the Sefer Nishmas Shabbos, which wasn't 100% clear. Others wanted to argue, but it was also brought down the Sefer Shabbos home, like that Lamaisa, if it's only bent a little bit, whereby the eyeglasses, the frame is a little bit bent, let's say, on the arm, and it's still usable, it's just a little maybe annoying. It's not 100%. I can still wear my glasses, and that's it. But I give it a tiny little bend, and it'll just fall back into place, but it's still usable the way it is. So then we said in Nishmas Shabbos, others wanted to say that would be, again, like we mentioned when I spoke with Rabbi Friedman from the Sefer Arts. He was a little bit on the side to say it's not so simple to say that, so that could be for discussion. But definitely, if it's not usable, the glasses were not usable, right? In the case of the lens, in the case of bending back the arm and so on, we said that was a real case of MAKEH B'PATIsh, tikemana, a real fixing of an item that's not usable. You had to buy a watch also, like we said, a watch that stopped. It's no use to the watch. Of no use to the watch, thereby winding the watch, according to many poskim, is a mamash deraisa. So the same thing we could compare over here and say, Lamaisa, if the zipper is a totally not usable zipper because the piece is off, the piece is broken, whatever, so then to go put that piece back onto the zipper and now make it usable, you're making a not usable zipper into now a usable zipper. So that's taka running into a problem of MAKEH B'PATIsh and tikemana, going with the guidelines that we've mentioned. But like we said, we'll leave it at a tzarech ian as far as the part that if it's still partially usable, so that's still open. We have to that's something really that we still have to work on, because a person could really say that, well, my zip is real partially, I could still use it the way it is, so I'll do this little fixing, I'll push it back, it's halfway off, let's say, it's halfway off. I'll push it back, and now it goes back on, but it was usable before also, so it's not a real 100% fixing. So that we leave as a question. There is what to rely on in such a case, possibly, but definitely if the zipper is not usable, it came off, and whether it's the little handle piece or the other piece, however it is, it's not usable. Now you do a single action to make that zipper usable, whether it's on a zipper of a pants, it's on a zipper of a skirt, a zipper of a jacket, whatever it is, but the item is not usable. You do the action to make it usable. That would be falling under the guidelines of MAKEH B'PATIsh and tikemana, and one should be very careful not to do that on Shabbos. Thank you for listening. Atzlach and bracha kol tov.